And yes, thank you all. And it's a motivational class. I told Sami that I'll do this for about 15 minutes. And let me just begin by saying that, yes, we pioneered sports radio in the continent of Africa. But today in Nigeria and some other parts of Africa, there are sports radio stations. So just to correct that. I want to encourage you all to continue what you're doing and to congratulate you for attending this class, which is for self-development. We also must keep encouraging Sam for this wonderful effort for our sector. The lecture today is very simple, inspirational, motivational, I said. And I want you to go back to Saudi Arabia when Anthony Joshua took on Alexander Usyk. 3 men were in the ring after all, when the announcements were being made. And although some others were there, 3 were the main actors. And Anthony Joshua against Usyk it was. But there was a man with the microphone, which is to say, when it comes to sports, the microphone is indeed very, very important. That man was not talked about the way people talked about Joshua and Usyk. But that man, that night, made a lot of money, indeed, in thousands of dollars. His name, Michael Buffett. Now, Michael Buffer. Michael Buffer is 77 today. I did a short note so that I can race with what I'm doing. Michael Buffer is 77 today, and you will just find from his story things that will motivate you as a young and aspiring broadcaster. Michael Buffer was born in the Philadelphia area. Michael Buffer today, using the microphone, has over $400 million. In fact, some are now saying $500 million because the competition of 400 was for 2 or 3 years ago. And so when you look at Anthony Joshua and you look at Usyk and you put the two together, or even if you pick Tyson Fury and add Anthony Joshua, you will still find that both boxers are not as rich as a man with the microphone. Or that night, when so many belts were on the line, both boxers were not as rich as the man who held the microphone. And so, Michael Buffer is a great guy, is someone whose life should inspire anyone who sees the microphone in front of him or who has the microphone in front of him. When he was just 11 months old, his parents divorced. And so, like they say in churches, I don't really know what your background is listening to me this morning, but just be inspired. It doesn't matter what the background is for you. You can make mega bucks using the microphone. Michael Buffer was raised in a foster home by the Huber family. They were very poor, not a great home. So I don't know where you have also come from, but again, set your eyes on the goal. You can make it big with the microphone. Michael Buffer was a car salesman. Michael Buffer did other kinds of jobs just to make ends meet. Before you came into sportscasting, perhaps you tried things and they did not work. Take it that you are starting your best life now, and that greater is what is in front of you than what you have passed or even your present. Michael Buffer was a car salesman, did all kinds, other types of jobs just to make ends meet. Now, the curiosity to succeed must be there because that was what Michael Buffer showed the world. He wanted a better life, like you've come to gain from some of us you call more experienced broadcasters. Michael Buffer wanted something better for himself. And therefore, he started looking around. And so you must keep looking around for opportunities. He started listening to other announcers. And at a stage said to himself, I can do better than these guys. And in the course of looking for opportunities and having the idea of going into this trade, of holding the ring to announce, of holding the microphone to announce, the opportunity arrived. Just like we in Brilla did, doing independent sports casting on different music-based FM stations. And then the opportunity for a sports radio met us. At that time, the Atlantic City became more popular as a city hosting boxing bouts, and also Philadelphia. And so it was easy for him to say, let me try and see if I can get engaged by some of these hotels. He then started writing letters to different hotels, telling the hotels he can do announcements and that they should try him. So make sure you hit the pavement. Look around you. Look for opportunities. Try and grab opportunities by not staying still. Move. Go. G-O. I tell people it's 2/3 of God's name. So the name God tells us G-O, go. D, go determined, go disciplined. And so he started writing letters to hotels. I can announce, I can announce, I can announce. And when they invited him the very first time, they messed up, so to speak. He did not do well by his own reckoning. And so you must practice well, set a standard for yourself. Once you are doing any program or you have the opportunity to use the microphone, know what your minimal standard is and know when you beat that standard or when you don't. But one thing is certain, if you fall below your standard, don't quit. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It happens to every one of us. Every one of us. I remember the very first time the legendary Ernest Okonkwo asked me my full names at the National Stadium in Lagos when he wanted to tell everyone back in 1985 that there's a young postgraduate student of the University of Lagos at that time who was very interested in doing halftime analysis. And so when he asked my full names, I was all nerves. And I believe that very outing was about my worst. And so it was for Michael Buffer. Buffer himself was very nervy, had problems. That very first day, he had to speak to a whole crowd. So when you do, use it as a lever to get better. Don't allow it be the denominator that will pull you down or make you lose interest. I won't also forget how on OGBC in the early 90s, I was given the story of someone who lent something to another. And I used the word borrow. They borrowed it from him. Immediately I finished talking, someone called the live show and said he's a professor of English and that I made a mistake and taught me English on air. So you see certain things, you want the ground to open and you want to quit, but use that as a lever to get better. So that's how Michael Buffer, all nerves, beat that stage and decided to keep improving. And before people knew it, it was Michael Buffer everywhere, Michael Buffer everywhere. Indeed, former US President Donald Trump had to pick him as a person announcing for anything, any sporting event done in any of his hotels. And in the USA, there are a lot of Trump hotels. And before people knew it, Top Rank Promotions, the legendary Bob Arum, now 91, I believe, also said he should be the one calling the fights of Top Rank. And so the man started making money. Remember, he was a car salesman. Remember the background. So we don't know what yours is. You can climb, but it depends on how hardworking you want to be. Saying that it's now getting more jobs, Michael Buffer started working more on himself by doing a lot of research on who boxers are, on where and how they started fighting, what their fight logs are. And before the world knew it, Michael Buffer also coined the phrase, which became his USP, unique selling point. You see, because this is a teaching class, motivational class, so I'm going very slowly so that you can take notes. Michael Buffer created, within 2 years of being given the microphone publicly by people who believed and still believe in him, Michael Buffer created his unique selling point. He was not the first announcer. And so don't say there are too many announcers. I always tell people you can be an original in an already saturated field. Again, I repeat, you can be an original in an already saturated field. Or your style may just be the one that makes someone somewhere so happy about a sport or a profession. In my own case, and I say it every day, and I thank God for the grace. It was Malam Danladi Bako, long before he became the DG of the NBC, that liked my style, or that moved. I won't say he was the only one, that moved because he liked the style. In 1990, covering the Commonwealth Games, he asked me to report into Master Sports, the hit program that he ran at that time on the Nigerian Television Authority. And when he was DG of the NBC 9 years later, I needed to just congratulate him. And talk met talk. It was this idea that Nigeria should start having specialized stations. And here I am, someone who talks sports the way he likes. So he said, why don't you buy the form? And let's see if something will come out of this. And so you must get to the level where you will find your Trump. You will find your Bob Arum. People who will just say, if not this man, no other man, because they like your style. So you must keep working, not just getting the microphone and saying, it's now time. I am known, I talk. But that's talk. What makes you unique? And so within 2 years, 1982 he started, 84, he came up with the catchphrase, let's get ready to rumble. When you hear Michael Buffer talk, he has 2 levels or pitches. So when he's talking as Michael Buffer, you just hear the voice like mine now. But put me in the studio, it's a different thing. And so when you see the microphone, know that that is your moment. It is time to show the world, like Americans will say, what you got. So that is the prime moment for you. You may never have that opportunity again. And so come out with your very best. Rehearse it at home before you leave for the studios. Use your scripts. Use your scripts. Prepare well, because proper preparation helps. Hard work does not kill. In fact, it only leads to rest if you allow me go the biblical way. God himself walked and walked and walked and walked, and after the walk, he rested. So do some good job when you have the opportunity. If you listened to me in the 90s and up to say 2005 or 07, before I decided to allow the establishment be bigger than the name Larry Izamoje, my pace and the voice modulation were the things I list into my unique selling point. So you must have your unique selling point. What is that thing that makes you special? Some of you here were very young then, but those who remember will remember. And now I say, there's, the way you are now, you see, it goes up and down. You must be able to use your voice to magnetize, to attract, to hold captive your listeners. Then you release them when you end your show. So that is the way it works. And so he coined, let's get ready to rumble. It is let's get ready to rumble. If he was saying it the way I just said it, will it sell? But he has made over $400 million just using and now. Millions around the world watching this. Let's get ready to rumble. How many words? Well, look at the millions in the bank. So have your USP. Know that there are days that you will not do well, like I said, he too. But after those moments, your wilderness days, be a master of your mic. So that when people hear you talk, they know that, like we say loosely in Warri, using Warri parlance, the man sabi. The man sabi, the boy sabi. And so be motivated. Michael Buffer depends on the quality and the kind of fight, makes between $20,000 and $100,000 anytime he's listed to do a fight. And today, if it's a very, very big fight, heavyweight kind of fight, Joshua Vladimir Klitschko, Joshua Usyk, those kind of very big fights, Tyson Fury fights. If it is not Michael Buffer, you still have not called the very best. Also, as you work and as you do your research to know what to say, what to do, find time for relaxation. I do a lot of relaxation listening to country music. You may not find me out too often, but once my country music is on, that is a relaxation moment for me. Somehow, it is what I also use when I do music and sports. The program I do on Brilla FM these days, as I'm into semi-retirement. I also enjoy watching sports as my own form of relaxation. Michael Buffer likes collecting pets. Just pets all over the place, collecting pets and keeping around, seeing how animals jump up and down. That relaxes him. So get something to relax you, even as you go for your millions. So from what I've just said, know that you've got to work harder than you have done. Be determined. Know that the beginning will be jerky. And don't be ashamed of it. It happens to us all. The beginning will surely be jerky. Look around for opportunities. You are the one that will make yourself the superstar. So when you have a topic, when you have anybody to talk about, do some research about the person. Practice before the moments of the microphone, from what Michael Buffer has said. Practice before the moment before the lights come on, and you now have to speak. So that what you are saying will just be since you very well practiced. So it becomes a stroll in the park. So once again, I congratulate our brother Sammy for putting this together. I encourage you to keep working hard and ask God Almighty to butter your bread. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, my father, the legend and captain of industry. Great motivation. We don't have the words to thank you so much for all you've done. I know you're an extremely busy person, sir, but I don't know if you have maybe a few minutes. I know some of the students might have 1 or 2 questions to ask. I don't know if you have a few minutes for us so they can ask 1 or 2 questions before you take a bow, sir.
Okay, a few questions.
Fantastic. So please, Oga is a very busy man, very, very busy. So if you have a question, let's do this in a very organized manner. Let's have our hands up as we always do in our fashion. I'll call you. I always say the best questions are the scripted questions. The best questions are the scripted questions. So once I call you, you go straight to the point, you ask your question, you unmute your mic and take notes, not just for the person who asked. Everybody take notes. This man is a legend. He's a legend. Take notes, whatever he says, so that you learn and benefit from it. The first question will come from Bril Ejaku. Bril, go ahead, please. Bril, if you can hear me, go ahead with your question, please. Unmute your mic and go ahead with your question. And Oga Larry, let me just add, Bril is actually 9 years old. 9 years old. And that for me, that's quite phenomenal. I took her on a tour on Beat FM, Classic FM, Niger FM yesterday. When I heard she was 9, I asked her to come over to the studio so she see what we do. So Bril, go ahead and talk to the legend. He can hear you. I think we've lost Bril. Bril, please, if your dad is there or your mom, tell them to help unmute your mic. It's on the bottom left-hand side. But let's go to Tony. Emeka Tony, go ahead and ask your question, please.
Okay, and good morning, Mr. Larry and everyone in class.
Yeah, good morning.
And my question is, from what I saw online, you have been in the media since 1988, if I'm not wrong. And as a multiple award winner, what are your advice to young aspiring journalists like us trying to find our feet in the field? Thank you very much.
Well, first, it comes down to you, as someone once said, you will determine your altitude. So I always talk about being very disciplined, being very determined. And so you must show first grade determination. You must see the end from the start. So the end you see must be a better you. The end you see must be a you of excellence. And therefore, to get to that goal, I prescribe what I call the 11 P's of success. I will send that to Sammy, just a sheet of 8, so that you see what the 11 P's are. For you to succeed in anything you do in life, you must begin by searching yourself, because every one of us carries our own unique gifts. So you may just find that you are in the wrong sector. If you discover early, you leave us. Let me be that deft with that talk, that punchy with that talk. And so if you discover your gifts are, you can then go into, maybe God has said you'll be a pilot. He has also said you'll be just a computer engineer, not a broadcaster. So by the time you search your soul, you search yourself, you will see your unique gift. So it comes, noting what your gift is, comes from passion. What is that thing that you are passionate about. If you are not passionate about the microphone, not passionate about talking sports, it is not too late to let this go. So don't do it because your friend is doing it. Don't do it because you want to beat somebody. Don't do it because you want to challenge somebody. So do it only because you have passion for that thing. Passion, I say, gives rise to action. And so when you are passionate about something, it takes you into projecting into that area. So you see, passion leads to the project. You now project into that area of your passion. So you project into sports, you project into sports casting. So you find that you are narrowing it now. So because you like Rivers United, you like Eyimba, you now want to project into football and project into the use of the microphone to talk football. So passion leads into the projection, and then the projection will help you plan. So now you have decided it has to be sports. You've decided it has to be football within sports. You have decided it has to be the microphone. You now go into the plan. How do you now achieve it? And within that plan, you'll start seeing many things. So you prioritize and say, okay, fine. I'll just be the expert in talking about the NPFL. I'll be the expert in analyzing when I have the microphone. No, I'll be the expert doing commentaries. So you now prioritize. Don't be the jack of all trade. I like telling sports stories, you know. I remember in 1996, I was at Wimbledon in London to cover the championship, the Grand Slam. And filling my form, I just wrote sports writer. You know, here we are sports writers. But I was in the midst of tennis writers. And so when I wrote sports writer and handed over my form to the lady who collected, she was shocked and said, from Nigeria, sports writer? And called some of the other tennis writers and said, we have a genius here. A sports writer is here. And they all told me sports writer or tennis writer. So I knew I was in a strange place. And when next I covered my boxing championship, world title fight, I was very careful to write boxing writer. So it comes into, you know, prioritizing, because you cannot be the jack of all trades. Like we say on our airwaves, Brilla, we are masters of one. So sports, if you hear music on our stations, we're only just filling so that the people can make tea and get ready, do some research and get the next sports news, hot, fresh, and serve it. And so you now prioritize. And after prioritizing, you practicalize. So how do you practicalize? You practice it. You try it before you see the microphone, before the lights are on you. Practicalize. I remember driving to Abeokuta back in the 90s. Alone, no driver, nobody. I will be driving and speaking to myself. Yesterday at Everton, Dana Mokachi, the one you called the bull, oh, where's Jesse number 14, scored. You see the way I moved. So you must have a way of allowing air. I'm just going into vocal control now. Are you taking air and all that? Huh? I told Sammy I'll do this for 15 minutes, but your questions are making me talk more.
God bless you, sir. God bless you,
you
sir.
must practicalize. You now you prioritize, you practicalize, and then you persist in your practice, in what you are doing. Because when you plant a seed, it takes some time to grow. So persist. Don't allow anybody count you out. Praise yourself. Praise the Almighty God for giving you life and allowing you to breathe fresh air. So at times you praise yourself by buying yourself some soft drink somewhere. Nothing wrong in spoiling yourself for doing well. So you praise yourself, of course, beginning or end or middle, you pray. Because I still believe in the supernatural. That's why in this business, it is stated in Psalm 45, verse 2, that God pours grace on lips. So you pray for that grace, so that when you talk about your own Rivers United, to be different from what any other person has said. So grace is poured on your lips. Your tongue will be like that of a ready writer. That's another passage. So I'll send 11 piece because of time. And then you find that with all these, you are preparing yourself to be a better person. And in any case, you must also look at what the books say, because at the end of the day, it's your voice. So your voice must be well maintained. No late night hours, dark corners, sports drinking, and you come back and you are not fresh. You must be very well hydrated. You don't go into the studio dehydrated, with eyes not clear, brain not cool. So there are certain things, body discipline, body management. The microphone you use, you must know it too very well. So there are a lot of things you can do to get to the top. And then your net worth and your network. You must keep increasing your network, because that increases your net worth. And as you keep moving, you keep increasing. So you keep going in a circle in terms of worth and work.
Thank you, Uncle Larry. Jacobril, can you hear me now? If you can, unmute your mic, bottom left-hand corner, and go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. My name is Brea Jaco.
Good morning.
I have a question. I want to ask you, how can I put myself together when people are letting me down by saying I'm too small to do it?
Thank you very much. First, don't allow anybody deter you. If you think you can, you can. So it comes down to you. Let nobody define you. Respect people, but don't let them define you. I would have said to you, what they do, what you do in sports, number one, is to respect your opponent, respect your opposition, but don't allow them define you. So when they try to define you from what you have just said, they keep telling you, bring the total sports strategy, the A game of competition, bring that out. And remember this, life, interactions, people talking to you and what you hear, they come within the bracket that we call social Darwinism. It's big grammar for a young person like you. It simply means as you interact one to another, the strongest will survive. So be the strongest. So when they say anything, don't allow it sink in. Always see yourself where you are headed. You are on the road to success. And definitely on every road to success, people will come as critics. So count it all gain when they come telling you you cannot. In fact, use it as a lever, as something to motivate you to get to the higher level. If they say you cannot, check yourself. This thing that you are doing, have you lost your enthusiasm? This thing, can't you show that person that you can be better? And so whatever they say, use it as a stepping stone. That's what I call lever. Use it as a stepping stone. Use it as a denominator. You know your maths in school. So use it as the denominator to get better. So when they say you can't, the answer inside you must be, I can, and you will say it. Sammy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you
you
very much. Thank you very much, Uncle Larry.
I really wish her well.
Yes. Ken, if you can hear me, you can go ahead and ask your question, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yes,
I want to
morning.
ask, like Michael Buffer, when you are being faced with a crowd, what must you do to overcome stage fright and anxiety? Thank you.
Better preparation, proper preparation, researching about the audience, managing yourself very well. So you don't go there after partying till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. that same day, looking tired, not well rested. So you must have researched what you are going to say. You must have practiced it very well. And then you must know the lines, your opening lines. Because once you get your opening lines well, it gives you more courage to keep talking. And when you have your facts ready, you just tap on your facts and you keep going. Again, when you have the microphone, don't start counting heads. The only thing that matters at that time is what you say to the microphone. And so there's a way you look at the crowd, and yet you are not seeing the crowd. You are thinking more about what you rehearsed. And so when you have properly rehearsed, when you've done your script and you are following your script, you may be facing the crowd, but your mind has been wired to be looking at your script. So your face may be there, everybody looking at you, you looking at other people, but you are really not seeing them because you are seeing your script. You are saying what you want to say. You are saying the number of goals people scored or the number of knockouts a particular boxer has given, number of losses, where he fights from, his age. So by the time these things crowd your brain, going to the microphone and you hold the microphone, those are the things you've been called to say. So when you know what you've been called to do and you are doing exactly what you've been called to do, you don't even get nerves. No nerves, no stage fright. And even if they cheer and keep cheering, remember your script. So put your hand on your gear. And once you have it, these days you just touch that and it is there. So it means that you have put it on your hand is permanently on that gear. So once you get into your gear, that is it. So it comes down to you preparing properly. Proper preparation precedes proper performance. P. Proper preparation precedes proper performance.
Thank you, Uncle Larry. I can't see any more questions. And let me say this very briefly before we call it a day, because I'm assuming we don't have any more questions. I can't see any hands up. Like I mentioned earlier, when I was a young man in primary school, Uncle Larry was already by far and away the best sportscaster in Nigeria, unquestionably. He's one of those who made me go into what I'm doing today. And I know not a lot of you, everybody here came into this training because of me. Uncle Larry is my role model. He's my Oga. And I'm surprised we're not bombarding him with questions. I'm absolutely shocked. Absolutely shocked. Anyway, Uncle Larry, I don't have the words. You said 10, 15 minutes, but you've done closer to an hour than 10 minutes. So on behalf of everybody, I want to say a very, very big thank you to you. And because, look, I don't always say this, but I'm starstruck by you. My students are here, but I'm saying I'm starstruck by you. So let me act as a student now. Let me ask you one question, because I also learn every day and you are one of my biggest motivations. My question is this: what's the biggest challenge you've ever faced in your career?
Well, the biggest challenge I have personally or as a company?
No. As when you wanted to go to take this path as a sports person, as somebody who talks on radio? What's the biggest challenge you faced as a professional?
Well, as a professional, and me, you mean, and I now understand it clearly. Well, as a person in this business, the biggest challenge was not really using the microphone or presenting, because I had my USP. I did a lot of backstage work before coming on stream. And so as a professional, equipment failing, people are just interjecting to make things look difficult for you. So at times you may find that as a professional, there are things that you cannot help. You are in full steam, firing on all cylinders, and suddenly public power supply is cut, and the station does not immediately have a UPS, and then everywhere goes dark. So you find at that stage, you lose steam. You lose steam. And then when you now have to come back on air, you find that that pace, you struggle again to get to that pace. So in those far off years, not now, that was a big challenge. So if you talk about personal things, yes, another challenge people misunderstood, particularly when I first started back in the 80s, where one was headed. So that was a challenge. People not giving you what you think you want to quickly have. And the third I would like to add would be knowing clearly that this is what will magnetize, will attract, and you find people going all out to criticize and give you the thumbs down. We were not as wise as we are today to carry on in spite of stones thrown at the fruits. But in those days, for every stone, you wondered why, and lost countless hours with which to improve, thinking about why stones were thrown. So those are the ones I think have been. But in terms of being Navy, I've said yes, you will have that in the beginning. But once you keep preparing and you're a master of your script, master of your trade, if you don't know it, don't go. There are some sports I don't report. Some you will never hear me talk about, and yet I'm in sports. And so you must prioritize. So once I got what I wanted to do clear, I knew exactly where I was headed, nothing has stopped me. I will give God the glory.
Thank you very much, Uncle Larry. You've given us more than the time we expected you would. And
45 minutes.
Yeah, unless you have something else to say to us, I will have to say thank you very much, sir. And we're most obliged. We'll never forget this, sir.
Thank you very much, Sammy, and keep doing what you do. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.
Okay. As Uncle Larry leaves, I want to talk to us for a few seconds. I was a student during this class because this is a man that I hold in very high esteem. Like I said, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I was in primary school and he was already the best in the country. I know those days he used to drive from Ogun State to Lagos. We heard about the story, and he confirmed it today to do his thing. There were a lot of challenges that he faced to be the man that he is today. Having said that, I'm surprised that we didn't ask as many questions as I expected us to ask. Olisa, are you in this class? Olisa, I'll mute your mic. Olisa, are you here? Okay, I want to assume he's not here. Wisdom, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Olisa, there are issues with your network. Olisa, there are issues with your network. You can mute your mic. Wisdom, I'm surprised you didn't ask a question. I expected questions from you and Olisa. Olisa, please mute your mic. Thank you. Mute your mic, please. I know it was an impromptu class, but that's not an excuse. We had I think about an hour, even if it's 30 minutes to prepare for the class. We all have smartphones. Some persons might say were not into sports. There are lots of resource persons, lecturers who will talk to us, who have got absolutely nothing to do with sports. Those moments are coming. We've had in previous seasons lecturers who had nothing to do with sports who will lecture us. And in this industry, no knowledge is wasted. One of my bosses will talk to us, my former bosses, I still call him my boss, Adura Tomi Bolade. He used to be head of station, School FM, Wazobia FM, Nigeria Info FM in Port Harcourt. He's in Lagos, Abuja these days. He'd always say to me, Sammy, a broadcaster must know a bit of everything. I repeat for emphasis, a broadcaster, a journalist must know a bit of everything. So don't tell me, I don't like sports. No. If you want to work in a radio station, if you want to work in a TV station as a newscaster, you will be given what is known as a bulletin. In the bulletin, you have the political news stories, you have the economic news stories, you have the religious stories, you have the entertainment stories, you have the sports stories. So even if you don't like sports, you don't say, oh, my producer, my head of news, I don't like sports. Please remove the sports part out of the bulletin. You can lose your job for that. So when you hear icons in the sports industry talk, you listen to them with intent. You take notes, you participate. When you listen to those who are in the entertainment industry lecture you, even if you're a sports person and you don't like entertainment, you don't want to hear about Kim Kardashian or Lil Wayne, who understand that haven't chosen this path, you must know a bit of everything. Imagine yourself in the studio as an OAP, you're hosting, say, the morning show, and you throw the phone lines open and somebody calls you and asks you a question and you say, I know the expert for this. You get caught pants down and it affects your credibility. So let's always make the most of these opportunities. And Larry Izamoje is a legend. I go out and I will continue to go out of my way to make sure that those who lecture you are the best in their different fields of endeavor. So make the most of it. We're less than 30 in this class. Larry Izamoje has got radio stations all over the country. I got a phone call. Please, Wisdom, unmute your mic and confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, brilliant. I'm sorry, I got a phone call. I'm using my phone, not my system. So that was why you couldn't hear me for a few seconds. So I'm taking the time, going out of my way to get the best. If you go to Brilla FM in Port Harcourt and you talk in the microphone, you're going to be listened to simultaneously by hundreds of thousands of people across the world. And that's just Brilla FM in Port Harcourt. The point I'm trying to make is, if this man, Larry Izamoje, wants to talk on radio, if he wants to host a show, if he wants to talk, most times hundreds of thousands, potentially millions listen to him. But he took his time for almost an hour to talk to just over 20 of you, interact with you one-on-one, and that's the opportunity. That's the privilege you're going to have in the next 25 days. Those people you ordinarily will not meet face to face, you have a chance to interact with them face to face. Ask them questions, pick their brains, pick their minds. I said a few days ago, if you lose 1 second of your time, you will never get it again. A lot of you may never have a chance to talk to Larry Izamoje again, ever. Never, it will never happen. It's the same with some of the lecturers who will come to talk to us. So whenever we put up those things in the group and say, this lecturer is coming, make out the time, use your smartphone, go and do small research. Who is this person? What is the topic? Read about that topic. Question, critical. Oh, okay, let me ask you, oh, this man, he owns a radio station. What does it take to run a radio station? Nobody asks a question like that. What does it take to manage different egos? I hear that people who work on radio are egotistical. Is it true? You ask him. This man has employed all sorts of people. He has been in the industry for over 30 years. How has he stayed relevant? How does he keep the motivation? Those sort of questions. How does he relax? You can even ask him, who are those people that he looks up to, who inspired him to, to come into the media industry? But I didn't get questions like that. When questions are not asked, it means that the students did not research that topic before the class. We should have 2 more classes today. If it's going to be saturated, I'm going to move one of the classes to tomorrow or to subsequent days. We're supposed to have 2, but like I said, I made a mistake because I'm coordinating over 50 lecturers from all over the world, combining it with my different jobs. So it's not easy at all. It's not easy. So forgive me for that. We're supposed to have 2 more classes today, one from Mario Leo, the other from Sunshine, but Mario's class will definitely hold. We're looking at 1 p.m. today. I'll post confirmation of what's going to happen in the group. So you guys get yourself prepared. In summary, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy for you to sit through a class, sit through another, and keep doing this for an entire month. It's not easy, but nothing good comes easy. So please and please, I beg you, make that sacrifice. I was saying for the next 30 days, see, the journey of 1,000 steps, it starts with 1. Now, I'm not saying for the next 30 days. Now, I'm saying for the next 25 days. You're making progress. If you check the group, I've removed a lot of people. I'll continue, but you guys have not been removed. You guys are passing the test, and continue fighting, continue pushing. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. That thing will not go kill you. It go make you go strong past the way you did. In the next 25 days, those of you who are patient enough, consistent enough, strong enough to go through this training, they say when masquerade they dance, now people they tell them how they dance. No be me go tell on now. Your friends, your family, they'll tell you, Omo, you don't change. You'll not be so you been there before. This guy, this lady, now wow, what happened to you now? Now wow, what's up now? Now I want training like that. What would they do online or practically? From this week, we'll start visiting radio stations. I did an exception and brought somebody to the studio yesterday. We'll do it for everybody. Those who are serious, we'll start taking you to radio stations from this week. So you see the practical aspect of what you're doing. You have a chance to interact with the OAPs, the newscasters, the engineers, ask them questions. Oh, what's this? So it's not just about theory. It's not just radio. We also go to TV, see how things work. You also, I'll give you guys pre-information so you have a chance to know where exactly we're going, the time we're going, so you can do your research. Who are the OAPs who work there? Who is the head of the station? What kind of programs do they do? Who are the OAPs you want to interact with? What are the questions you want to ask them? So I congratulate all of you who have stayed on till this time. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep going. And all things being equal, by the end of this month, we're going to be better people. Does anybody have any question to ask before we leave? You got a question? Meet your mic. You ask in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, nobody has a question. So thank you very much, everybody. I will see you all in class later.